Yeah, Carlin turns on the TV, Christian flips off the screen, cause there's no good children's shows that he's seen. We've got dogs with blogs, superheroes in the ER. All dads are dumb and kids have better PR. Carlin just smile, Christian sits with the scowl. He complains to his son, all the kids shows suck now. They sit and discuss the show's plus and minuses while you listen or watch on YouTube to the arguments. Who is right? Is it the son or the dad? Either way you get to laugh knowing Christian is mad. So pull up a chair, get the corner poppin'. Here's a new episode of What Are We Watching?
Hi everyone, thank you for tuning in to the What Are We Watching podcast. This is our first time doing retro versus contemporary.
That's right, we battle retro versus contemporary. Stay tuned.
This is Drew Bennett from BenSpark.com with Eva, and we challenge you to watch Boy Meets World and Girl Meets World and tell us which you think is better. I think Boy Meets World is better.
I think it's Girl Meets World.
Well, we'll see.
What are we watching?
All right, guys. Well, like you just saw, we got challenged by BenSpark.com and his lovely daughter to watch the retro Boy Meets World versus contemporary Girl Meets World. Now, Ben and I both like the retro Boy Meets World because we're retro, which means we're old. And we figure Carlin's going to like Girl Meets World, which is the contemporary version. But I don't know. We'll see how it shakes out. Now, these are about kids in school. And today was your first day at school, wasn't it?
Yes.
So how was your first day at school? Anything exciting happen?
Yes. Our new teacher. She's very nice.
All right. A new teacher. Very good. Any good kids in your class? Or do you remember them all from last year?
Pretty much all of them.
Oh, good deal. All right. Well, we are covering Boy Meets World Season 2, Episode 1, and Girl Meets World Season 2, Episode 8. If you ever want to know what we're watching for the podcast, just go to whatarewewatching.com or youtube.com/whatarewewatching podcast, and you will find out what we're going to watch for the main episode. That way you can binge them, you can watch them, you know what the heck we're talking about. All right. Well, let's just dive right in to our What Are We Watching question board right now for Boy Meets World, okay? And what are our 3 questions?
Was there a laugh track?
Was there a laugh track?
Were there adults?
Yeah. Are the kids on their own or are there adults around? And are the adults idiots? So First question, Carlin, was there a laugh track in this show?
Yes, there was a laugh track.
Yeah, I think they did have a live studio audience at the time when they recorded the show, like they do for some of them. But they, we've talked to some people on the podcast before about these shows. They sweeten it. We'll call it that. They sweeten the laughs a little with the laugh track. So we're going to say, yes, there was a laugh track because there were some scenes where some of the laughs sounded a little similar.
Yeah.
Sound a little similar. And perfectly timed, but they do have applause lights that go applause, and that way or ooh, that kind of thing. So, but I do think that they definitely used a laugh track in the show. All right, were the kids on their own?
No, the kids were not on their own.
No, which is awesome, right? Because a lot of times I complain about these new shows that you love. The kids are just there, like they work in stores with no adults. There's no adult customers. There's no adults running any of the stores nearby. There's no parents. There's no teachers in the school. The principal's only there to show that he's a jerk or she's a jerk or attack the kids like they do in some of the shows. So the kids were not on their own. There are parental units in the show, right?
Yes.
And there are guiding forces, we'll call them. Okay, so there's laugh track. The kids are not on their own. And here's a big question. Now, you tell me what you really think. Were the adults idiots in Boy Meets World?
No.
You don't think so?
No.
I'm going to agree with you. We're 3 for 3 here. We're in agreement because the adults on this show are like, they do silly stuff.
Yes.
They give sage wisdom. And they actually parent.
Like Mr. Feeney.
Like Mr. Feeney, he gives wisdom. And plus, Mr. Feeney was the voice of a talking car when I was a kid on Knight Rider. So Mr. Feeney gets all the points. He's just a talking car. Yes, Michael, we should turn left now. This is before we had GPS. You're used to cars talking. You have no idea. No idea. All right, how cool a talking car was when I was a kid. All right, so that answers the 3 questions on our What Are We Watching question board. So just tell everybody, what was the episode of Boy Meets World about?
The episode of Boy Meets World was about Corey, him wanting a girlfriend.
Well, I mean, yeah, he did want a girlfriend, I guess. But he noticed everybody was, what did they call it? Pairing up. Not a fruit, not a pear. They were not pairing down. They were pairing up, which meant boys and girls were not hooking up. They were pairing up. There's no other way to say that. Okay. Now the show opens with what happening in the halls of a school for 7th graders?
2 kids macking out in the hallway.
2 kids were macking out the hallway on this show. And I'm watching it with my 10-year-old son, just turned 10 years old. And my wife is elbowing me going, hey, what's going on? What's going on? It's not cool, man. Not cool, bro. And we had a whole living room full of people because my wife was there. You and I were watching it. We try not to talk about the show while we're watching it, save for the podcast. My best friend Will was there. And there was a lot going on. There was a lot of macking going on. How many minutes of kissing do you think those kids did?
That was like 2 minutes.
Easy 2 minutes. And you might be listening to this going, 2 minutes isn't that long time. 2 minutes is a long time. A long time. And then Corey even asked Mr. Feeney, he goes, hey, are you going to stop that? And he's like, no, Mr. Matthews. Those kids are A- students, and they're going to break up in a week anyway. You know, and, that's my worst Mr. Feeney impression. And Corey says, well, my goal is to get a girlfriend and have a hickey by the end of the year. And he's like, yeah, good luck, Corey. Even Mr. Feeney was knocking on Corey. So how did that make you feel? Well, it's different, right? From the get-go, right? From the shows we normally watch. You got a girl and a boy just making out on like a third of the screen. You can see Corey and Sean over here, and that third of the screen is just kissing. So what did you think seeing that? Were you surprised? Were you shocked by it?
I was a little surprised.
Was it uncomfortable just watching people making out with your parents?
Towards the middle.
Towards the middle of the kissing or later in the show?
Later in the show.
Okay, well, we will get to that, won't we? All right, so Corey wants to pair up, see if he can pair up with somebody because everybody's pairing up. So he goes for his best friend that's a girl, Topanga. And he says, Topanga, my love, what does he call her?
My honey.
My honey, may I call you that? And she goes, no, you can't. No. And then what does she say to him? She says, Corey, my
butt face or
my butt head.
Yeah.
May I call you that? And he's like,
yeah.
Yeah, sure. You can call me anything you want. I just want to take. So that tells you how bad Corey wants a girlfriend. He's like, yeah, you can call me a butthead. I don't care. I like that you thought she said butt face, but that's funny. And he says, let's pair up. And what does she say, man?
She says no because you realize that by the end of the week, everybody's going to fall apart. They're not going to...
Yeah, everybody's going to break up, and we will ruin a lifetime of friendship.
Yes.
That we've built together. And when he was like, yeah, okay, I'm in. Yeah, that's fine.
I'm in if you're in.
Yeah, I'm in if you're in. So Corey just wants to pair up, just to pair up for no other reason. Okay, so what's the main focus of the episode? I mean, yes, it's the pairing up and stuff, but then his older brother's at home. His older brother has a girlfriend that's his study partner at home. And you just tell the audience, like, what happens with his brother and this girl?
So, Corey comes home, but Eric is already home.
Right.
And he brought his friend Rebecca. I think that was her name.
And did Rebecca really want to study?
No.
What did Rebecca keep saying she wanted?
A tour of the house.
A tour of the house. What was that code for? Did you figure out what that was code for?
Yeah.
And what was it code for?
Making out.
Making out! And I was like, oh my gosh, there's more making out in this show. And my wife is elbowing me hard now in the ribs, like, I don't think this is the thing we should be watching. And now we're just getting more uncomfortable on the couch as a family. And so he does. He takes her to what room of the house and starts kissing her?
Mom and Dad's room.
Mom and Dad's room! Oh my God. The worst room. Literally the worst room. And so Corey walks in on him, and it kind of embarrasses her, and she leaves.
Yeah.
And by the way, Eric, his older brother, said, hey, can we hang out again? And she's like, nah. Which makes me think he was not a good kisser. She's like, nah, bro. No thanks. And she's out the door. And so the next day, how does Mom and Dad use their detective skills? How do they happen to know this happened in their bed?
They found her earring in the bed.
Yeah, it's funny. Mom and Dad were laying on the bed, and Mom goes, ow, something's hurting me. And she pulls out an earring, and the dad was like, it's not me. I didn't do anything. I didn't do. And she's like, yeah, duh. Duh, dude. Of course you didn't. And then he's mad, right? He's like,
it's like, you think I can't get girls? I saw this girl in the store today.
Yeah, this woman in the produce section was all about me, and she's like, yeah, okay, whatever makes you feel good, sure. And he's like, now he's mad that she doesn't think he's having an affair. No, we have big egos, us guys. Okay, so they go after Eric and they say, look, you had a girl in our house, you had a girl in our bedroom. You should not be doing this. You were too young to do this. It's inappropriate. And then they find out he's been giving Corey advice on girls. And what was the advice? Corey said, Eric, how can I get a girl just to talk to me?
Just to say hi.
Yeah, just to say hi. And what sage advice does Eric give his little brother Corey?
He says, just look her in the eye, make her think you're interested, but you don't really have to be interested.
Yeah, he said just make her think you're interested. You don't really have to be interested. No big thing. Just pretend you're interested. And then when the mom and dad find out this, mom's like, Chernobyl, blow up, and she looks at the dad and she's like, I don't want you going, hey, shame on you, but elbowing him going, yeah, good job, buddy. And he's like, no, that's horrible advice. Do not ever give advice to your brother. Don't ever take advice from your older brother. Yeah, all around. And so he gets in trouble, grounded, all that stuff. And then, but here's the thing. Corey did take his advice. And he did get a girl, didn't he? He got the new girl to go out on a date with him.
He looked funny just staring at her.
He was just staring at her like
class.
A creeper. Creeping on
But before that, Sean figured out how to get a girl. He would just...
Okay, yeah. We did skip that. How did Sean get a girl? He would just
run his fingers through his hair.
He would flick his head back and run his fingers through his hair and be like, hey. And girls would just walk over and go, Sean. And so Corey tried to do it.
Sean, I was just thinking about you.
Corey tried to do it, and his hand was getting stuck in his curly hair. And Topanga comes over and goes, Corey, do you have lice? Like, is everything okay? So he took advice from Sean. He couldn't pull that off. Couldn't pull off the Sean. We're going to call that the Sean. And he did take advice from Eric, and he got the date with the girl. But then the next day after talking to Dad, he said, do you really want to go out on a date with me, or are you uncomfortable? And she's like,
I'm uncomfortable.
I'm uncomfortable. He's like, so let's just do what instead of go on a date? Just
be friends.
Just talk.
Yeah,
just talk and get to know each other. So technically they did go on a date because a first date is just talking. Let that be a lesson to especially you, young man, but everybody watching that's under the age of, I don't know, me. First date shouldn't be about macking out. A first date is about talking and getting to know that person, okay? All right, unless you're dating your best friend, and that's a whole Corey Topanga thing. All right, so it ends with, Eric being punished and Corey learning a lesson from his parents. But there was a lot of talk, almost talk, about sex on the show.
Reproduction.
They talked about reproduction in the classroom. They were talking about reproduction, weren't they? With the new teacher, the substitute teacher. That Sean's like, I just want to tell you, you were not the substitute for anything.
He said. And if you want to stay, you're totally good.
Yeah, and Sean actually pretended to be the school police officer.
I'm watching you. Got my eyes on you.
But anyway, there was a lot of talk about like making out. They were like, "You're too young to be doing that with Eric. You shouldn't be having babies." Like they even said that. Like, you better not bring a baby home in this house. It was frank stuff, right? They were talking about big issues, and it was a little uncomfortable, but it was also pretty funny, right?
Yeah.
All right, so let's put a pause button there. We're going to wrap it up in a minute, but let's jump over to Girl Meets World, Season 2, Episode 8. What was that show about?
That was about Maya.
Maya, who is the daughter of Katie.
Yes.
Okay, and what about Maya?
Maya's dad wasn't around that much and didn't get to know Maya very well. It was
He's not really around. She has an absentee dad. Okay, and so who's filling that void? Sean. Okay, now you didn't know this, and I had to explain some things about Boy Meets World to you because we only watch one episode. We can't watch every episode of every season for one podcast. We'll be back with the podcast in 3 months after we watch every episode. So I had to explain to you that Sean's dad wasn't around. In season 3, his teacher, the long-haired teacher from the school, kind of adopts Sean. I'm not sure if he ever officially adopts him, like we adopted you, but he does take him in because his dad's not around. Eventually, Sean's dad dies, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But so Sean didn't have a dad around. So Corey's dad was often very much a father figure to him, Mr. Feeney, and of course the younger teacher, whose name escapes me. So Sean, who didn't have a father figure, is kind of being a father figure to Maya, right?
Yes.
And what's funny is they're in the coffee shop at the very beginning, and what's the daughter? Riley is Corey and Topanga's daughter. Riley and Corey are sitting together watching Sean and Maya get together, and they're all like, yeah, they really are having fun together because Sean never challenges her, right? Topanga says that, I think. Sean never gives fatherly advice. It's easy. So Maya says, go ahead, give me some fatherly advice. I could take it. She starts punching him. Come on, I could take it. And then Riley just punches Corey and he falls on the floor because he's a baby. From the Boy Meets World on. And so what is the advice that Sean gives Maya?
He said, okay. And eventually tells her, he says, I think you should get new clothes.
Oh, I think you should get new clothes. And she immediately starts crying. And Topanga and the mom are like, uh-oh, it's happening. It's blowing up. And then why does Maya say she's crying?
Because she said nobody's ever cared for me that much to tell me that.
Yeah, nobody's ever cared enough for me to say that. Then that was sweet. But the mom was like, squeeze me. She's like, I beg to differ, but whatever. I'll let you get away with that. So Sean takes her to buy a brand new wardrobe. They go wardrobe shopping. And Corey's like, oh, you're going to love the dad thing. You sit in the dad chair. And Sean's like, no, I don't want any part of this. And then by the end of it, he sees her and she's like, oh, she's so beautiful. I want to sit in the dad chair. Okay. So Maya, who was a cynical kid, I guess, in the first season, because this is second season, I guess she's a more cynical kid. Riley's so excited because Maya's starting to hope, right? Maya's starting to have hope for life. And what's the one thing she really hopes for? What does she hope happens, in her future?
That basically Sean becomes her dad?
Yeah, that Sean kind of becomes her dad and dates the mom.
Yeah.
Katie. So Katie, who runs this coffee shop with Topanga. So she hopes for that. And then immediately, of course, like every TV sitcom, something bad's got to happen, right? And who walks in the door? Angela.
Yep.
Angela, Sean's ex-girlfriend. Okay, now Angela is from the first show, Boy Meets World. And then the audience was like, yay, it's Angela. Oh, we love Angela. Even though Angela's hair looked like a skunk. I'm sorry, Angela. The actress who is Angela. I don't know if they did that to you or you did that to yourself, but you got to pick a color. I'm just saying you got to pick a color. That looks good if you do it a little bit, but that was like some Pepe Le Pew kind of skunk stuff. I'm just saying. Okay, sorry. I know I'm not the fashion police, Mr. Big Old Fat Guy sitting here telling you about your hair. But that was skunky. Okay, Angela comes in, and then Maya's like, womp womp. He's not going to be with my mom. I should have never hoped. And then they all spy on them talking. Angela turns out she's married. She just wants some advice from Sean about having a kid. Sean basically feels like he's got a kid right now. Blah, blah, blah. Everything's happy. Angela disappears. The only reason she was there was to make people my age go like this. Yay, Angela! Right? Like, I mean, she furthered the story a little bit, but it was like, yay, nostalgia, retro. I feel it in my heart. Okay. So then the last scene, he's watching the girl and, he's enjoying it. And who walks in on Sean? Who walks in on Sean?
His father.
Okay, now, when Angela was with Sean, she said, hey, do you still have that thing where even though your dad's passed away, you still feel like he's with you? And he goes, yeah, he was never around much when he was alive, but once he died, I always feel like he's there. Because they would do this stuff where his dad would walk in and give him advice, fatherly advice, even though he passed away. And I had to explain that to you, right? Because you'd never seen that part of Boy Meets World. But at first, I literally had to explain it to you, right? You didn't know what was happening. You thought that guy walked in.
Yeah.
Even though they said that, because they didn't make it like a real dream sequence. There was no like glow around him. Nobody like froze. Like sometimes they do in those TV shows. It's like, everybody hold your freeze, while they talk or anything like that. There's no special music happening, I don't think. So I had to explain that whole setup to you, right?
Yes.
Okay. And then his dad gives him some advice. Oh, look at that little girl. I don't know what he calls her. She's cute, blah, blah, blah. Okay. And then it ends all happy. Okay. Yeah. All right. So here's some stuff that I was thinking about when we were watching Girl Meets World. And I was talking with my buddy Will about it because, he grew up watching Boy Meets World too.
Yeah.
There was a lot of pauses in the show.
Mm-hmm.
Weren't there? Did you notice that too?
Yes, I noticed that.
Did I say that during the episode? Like, I try not to talk about it while we're watching. But
a lot.
I said it a lot. But I was like, there's a lot of pauses. Now, Boy Meets World, they're talking about heavy stuff, like what we were talking about earlier, right? So when they had a moment, it was a moment, right? It was a big deal. It kind of felt like Girl Meets World was manufacturing moments. Do you know what I mean? Like, they're like, this is going to be a moment. Because Sean would look at the girl and go, you're really beautiful. Pause, 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 pause. Wait for nostalgic feel. Okay. And then Corey would say to Riley, we've always had that special connection. Pause, 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 pause. Wait for the nostalgic feel. It was almost like they were purposely manufacturing these magical moments that would automatically happen in the original show.
Yeah.
And there aren't a lot of very meaningful moments in the new shows we watch, are there? I mean, not really. They're jokes.
Until the end, it's like, I'm sorry I did this to you, Bob.
Yeah, they'll have like a wrap-up moral. But it won't really be like a moment that really makes you like teary-eyed or anything. You've never gotten teary-eyed during any of the shows we watch.
Nope, except for movies, I feel like.
Boy Meets World would do that. When you were a kid, it would get you teary-eyed. Like when the stuff happened with Sean's dad never showing up and the principal or the teacher adopting him, that was magic. Like people like cried, and when stuff happened as they got older, some of the stuff that they were dealing with, like Corey's first kiss and stuff like that, like you felt those moments with them. Like you grew up with these characters. It kind of felt like they were forcing that on you with Girl Meets World. And even though they weren't doing that with you, it was really meant for us, for the adults, You still noticed it, though, right?
Yeah.
I forgot. What did you say about the show when we were done watching it? You said it's explaining. Is that what you said? What did you mean by that?
There's a lot of talking.
There's a lot of talking, but not a lot of jokes.
Yeah, not that many jokes.
There were some jokes. I mean, who was your favorite character in Boy Meets World?
I liked Sean.
And who was your favorite character in Girl Meets World?
Corey.
Because they were the silliest.
Yeah.
And Riley was just like, all she was like, oh my God, I'm so excited that you love Hope. Oh my God, I'm so excited about that dress. But there weren't as many like jokes, it seemed like, as in Boy Meets World. But there were a lot more like that manufactured moments where they were like, remember these people, clap for them, have memories, And it just kind of felt artificial, right? So it got me wondering, and you tell me your thoughts on this. Boy Meets World has funny humor, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they also talk about some real stuff that's uncomfortable. So in manufacturing these moments with Girl Meets World, do you think that Boy Meets World is a better show because they talk about those uncomfortable topics?
Not because of that.
But does it... do you see what I mean? Does it make the humor seem more humorous when in the previous scene they're talking about something heavy? You know what I mean? Like, does it really like resonate with you and make you think? The non-humorous parts, because they're talking about something important, even though maybe it feels like, oh my gosh, I'm watching this with my 10-year-old. Maybe it's a little inappropriate. Does that make for a better show?
I don't really think so. That's a hard question.
Yeah, it's a tough one. It's a very tough one, this whole retro versus contemporary. This is the perfect show to start out with because they're very different. Very, very different shows. I felt like even watching the intro to Boy Meets World, that animation kind of felt cheesy and very dated. The boy and the world, the globe spinning. And then the intro to Girl Meets World was what I would call Disney-fied. You know, did it feel like all the intros to all the new shows?
I guess if I had to pick one to tell my friends to watch, it would be Girl Meets World.
Now, is that because you... Okay, go ahead. Is it because you liked it more? Is it because it was funnier? Is it because it wasn't heavy?
It wasn't heavy.
So which show did you like better? I
liked the Boy Meets World better.
Okay,
even though it was a little heavy.
So are you saying you would recommend to your friends because you don't want to recommend a show that's got uncomfortable things that are maybe right at your age appropriateness level?
Yeah.
Or that's why?
Yeah.
Wow, that's interesting. But you liked Boy Meets World better?
Yes.
You thought the jokes were better and the storyline was better?
Yeah.
Huh. That's crazy, isn't it? It's a tough call for me as a parent. All right, well, let's rate them. 1 to 10, 1 being the worst, 10 being... Oh, we didn't do our What Are We Watching board. Let's just run through it now. Was there a laugh track in Girl Meets World?
Yes.
Yeah. I think there's a live audience, but I think it was sweetened. Were there adults? We've already talked about that. There were adults. Were the adults idiots on Girl Meets World?
The boys seemed to be. They weren't necessarily idiots, but they were kind of more silly.
I'm glad we did jump back to this. Corey has become the teacher in Girl Meets World, and he's not Mr. Feeney.
No, he's not.
He's jokey joke, ha ha ha, I'm a goofball, I'm an idiot. Very much, who would you say was the smart person in the relationship, Corey or Topanga?
Topanga.
Okay, well, that's always been the case. But they definitely kept Corey where he was in high school and just made him a dad. He just doesn't have that sagey advice that Mr. Feeney had. And they definitely made the parents goofier, right? It felt like more...
Except for Topanga and Katie, they made the girls a little more not so...
Right.
Idiot.
Which is what a lot of these shows do. Dumb dads. Which I kind of hate. So that did bother me. I get that they're going for humor, but it definitely felt like, okay, this is a show made in 2015-16. This is how Disney shows and kid shows are done now. Don't do it that way. We cannot make that show. There's a show when, even when I was a young kid, maybe it was before, called Archie Bunker. Okay, and Archie Bunker talked about, he said racist things. He dropped racist names on people. I'm pretty sure he dropped the N-word on TV. And people were like, oh, you couldn't make that show nowadays. You couldn't make that show nowadays. Everybody would flip out because it just wouldn't happen. But I don't think you could make Boy Meets World nowadays. I don't think you could put Boy Meets World on Disney Channel and not have it play in the evening time.
True.
I was talking about that with my friend Will because he was over there. I just whispered to him, do you think they could put this on TV in a kid's block nowadays? He's like, nah, bro. No, I don't think that's happening. So, all right. Well, this has been a good discussion. I like this one. I like this challenge, Mr. Ben Spark. All right. 1 to 10, 1 being the worst, 10 being the best. How would you rate Boy Meets World?
I would rate it a 9.
A 9. All right. A solid 9. No shocker there. You rate everything a 9. Okay.
No, I don't.
Girl Meets World, 1 to 10. What do you rate it?
I would rate it an 8.
An 8, but you would recommend that one to your friends?
Yes.
So there was no uncomfortableness?
Not really.
All right, it's crazy. Okay, I'm going to give Boy Meets World an 8. I would give it a higher score, except I felt really weird watching people macking out with my son sitting next to me. And I'm going to give Girl Meets World just a 5. And honestly, it is because of that nostalgia. It was because Angela, the deadbeat dad, the deadbeat dad. He's a double deadbeat dad because he's dead and it was a deadbeat. So it was all that. But I do feel like it's one of the new type of Disney shows. I do think they make the dads dumber. Like Corey's dad he did stupid, goofy things in the original show, but he was like, this is the law. You don't break this rule. You're grounded.
Well, I guess Sean wasn't really more of an idiot.
I feel like Sean was...
He was like, I'm not necessarily your parent, but
Yeah.
I'm good with you.
Yeah, I mean, I felt like Sean was more parental sometimes than Corey was.
Yeah.
Like I felt like Corey was still in high school, or at least the college years. So I'm going to rate it a 5. I mean, I probably would go maybe towards a 7 with it, but I don't know. I hated the dumb dad thing.
Yeah.
And I know that's because I'm a dad, but that's what this podcast is about. Dad versus son, retro versus contemporary. So that's how it shakes out. I do like Boy Meets World better, even though it made me feel uncomfortable. And I think you like Boy Meets World better.
I think so.
But you would recommend Girl Meets World to your friends.
Yeah, that is weird.
That is weird. Well, we're ending on a conundrum. All right. Well, this has been the What Are We Watching podcast. If you want to challenge us to watch a retro show and a new contemporary version of the show, here's what you do. You email us at whatareWeWatchingPodcast@gmail.com, or you just leave us a challenge in the YouTube comments, youtube.com/whatareWeWatchingPodcast. And here's the thing. You can email us a video challenge just like Ben did, and you email it to whatareWeWatchingPodcast.com saying, Carlin, Christian, I challenge you to watch blah de blah. And we'll watch it. And when you challenge us, you will win a prize. You can win an Amazon gift card or a Nintendo DS gift card, all from the What Are We Watching podcast. That sounds pretty good, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so too. All right, well, we will see you next time. Don't forget, send in your challenge videos and we will make it happen. All right, you got anything to say to our viewers and listeners, Carlin?
Thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching and listening. And don't forget to check us out on iTunes. What Are We Watching.com/iTunes will take you right there. And we will see you and talk to you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
This production is brought to you by the Plaid Dad Blog Podcast Network. For more information, visit us at plaiddadblog.com.